welcome back to one of our videos on a stocks. Today we're going to be talking about our first job. I mean, we had smaller jobs before.
Yeah, I had one and you had one as well.
Yes, mine was like for 2 weeks, but it wasn't because I quit. It was just because that was the only time they did it. It was temporary.
And mine was for a month as well.
Yeah, it's because we were still in school, so it was like a summer job, but mine would only do it for 2 weeks. I would have to be covering someone who was on holiday.
And
what about you? You were just like on a summer camp.
Yeah, I was on a summer camp every day during the weekdays, looking after children, supervising their activities. Yeah.
I was in a nursery, and
younger children.
Every time that I say that, people are like, "But I thought you didn't like children." But back then, I was wanting to make sure that I actually did not like to take care of children.
It was like a test drive.
So I went and I was like, well, I'll be meeting lots of children. If I don't enjoy it, that means I actually don't like children, you know? So I wanted to test myself.
If you'd like...
And it was easier to get, because it was like kind of a council thing. So the council would give you 2 weeks working for some of their jobs to cover someone holidays. So you would go into a raffle pretty much. But if you went into one of the jobs that people don't like as much, like nursery, and then you would most likely be selected. And me and my best friend, we worked in the same place, but we worked opposite shifts. So we thought we're going to work together, but we literally did opposite shifts, basically. And you liked it there? You know, like in the summer camp?
No.
Well, but we're not talking about that one because, like I said, like this is our first job, quote unquote, like lots of girls.
We'll be talking about another job
because it is a summer job, so we didn't have a contract. I
think it's a bit confusing for them. If you want to hear about the nursery kind of job Jenny had and the one in the summer camp for kids, we can make a video about that.
Yeah, but this is the other one where
this is the actual topic.
Like in 2018. No,
2018.
I'm confused. We had this summer job which lasted for 2 months, which is
3 months.
2 months. 2 months.
July, August, and the beginning of September. It was almost 3 months.
If you begin in July...
But it was almost 3 months.
No, it wasn't. If you begin...
It was a lifetime journey.
If you begin in the beginning of July, August is 1 month, September is 2 months.
Then it was a lifetime of pain.
But it was just 2 months.
Okay.
It was 2 months. Okay, it was not almost 3. It was 2 and like 3 days, if that.
The first thing about the job is that we actually got to work together, and that was like a big accomplishment, we thought, because most people, they were against couples. They were like, oh, couples don't work well together, you guys will separate, or you guys will be making out during work,
stuff like that.
Blah blah. But they actually...
Which might be the case for most teenage couples, I don't know.
They actually hired us both, and they got us working different shifts 95% of the time. So there was barely any shifts we worked together. Every time you were off, I was working. And every time I was off, which was almost never, you were working.
And the thing, you might be like, okay, but that's just how it goes. But no, he would do it on purpose.
Yeah, he would do it on purpose.
He didn't even want us to have
breaks. She had breaks with everyone.
Yeah, like we would have breaks, like it would be different each day. Like he would call us and tell us when we were having our breaks. Like we're pretty much slaves to the job. We wouldn't even have time to go grocery shopping.
I think once or twice he gave us the same day off. Like once or twice in those 2 months. It was
twice, right? 2 months, so. Yeah. And then he would do it on purpose. He wouldn't want us to have the same breaks together for some reason.
So what kind of job was this that we were working together? It was
a shit show.
It was in a restaurant, in a
camping site.
In a very popular tourist destination in Portugal, which is like not...
It's not very popular.
Mostly nationals go there, but it's close to a beach and there is a camping site. And yeah, we were taking care of the restaurant by ourselves mostly.
Yeah, pretty much.
We had like
16-year-olds managing a restaurant.
We
That's
had-
what was happening.
we had one cook who was an adult, and
a senior.
a
let's say.
senior, yes. And then we had the boss who has hired us, and the other boss who was together with him, like they were partners. And yeah, that was it. And then there was another cook who was a man. Sometimes he showed up there.
But you know, like, this is honestly like the worst bit, is that the fact that we were out by ourselves, we were thrown into the wolves, and
Yep.
we were managing the restaurant, and it would just be us.
There was also
Our
Anna.
friend-
Anna was an adult, but
She wouldn't be there most of the time.
yeah, she wouldn't be there most of the time.
She would be there mornings.
And she got sick.
Yeah, she got sick at one point, and then we were alone. Like, she was there for a month, if so.
Yeah.
And then she would not do most of the afternoons in the closing shifts, which we would close at 2 a.m. and then we'll be back on 8 a.m.
We would have shifts where we worked, well, most days we would work between 10 to 14 hours a day. Sometimes we worked, well, I think the least we worked was 10, to be honest. Like, sometimes I think there was 1 or 2 days we worked like almost 16 hours a day.
We worked 16 hours, yeah.
Yeah, like the worst days. And we were getting paid
It's in the title.
£1.50 an hour, which is, well, it's about £1.50 an hour. It was €2.50 an hour back then.
Yeah.
It was
Amazing.
Why would we settle for this? The thing was, we wanted to come and move to Manchester. That was our dream.
Yeah.
Foolish dream. Okay, we're better now. But
You're clearly better now.
yeah, that was the only job we found. Really, we had been searching for like 2 months prior, I think, and
Yeah.
at least because we were still searching while we were in school, and we just couldn't find anyone who would take us or would take us both. I think you got one interview for like a job on your own, like far away. It just wouldn't make any sense.
Yeah, it was especially hard because I didn't have anyone to take me by car or anything, so it would have to be accessible by bus, but then I would have to be able to have schedules that would work with the bus schedules, you know, and that just didn't happen.
That's why we also chose this job, because we got to live for those 2 months alone on our own in a camping
You chose
site.
that because of that?
No, it's not. I mean, that was just another reason why.
We literally were living in a camper van, which will be on the screen.
Which is much bigger, probably smaller than your toilet, your house's toilet.
Your bathroom, yeah.
Bathroom, yeah. And we had to pay €17 a day for that. I mean, not us, because the boss said he would pay half of it. Thanks. Oh, thank you. We would still have to work 4 hours a day just to cover the expenses of, having a place to sleep, which smelled bad, by the way, because we would have to leave it locked all those 16 hours throughout the day.
Yeah,
And then,
so basically,
oh,
just imagine, in the summer, 40 degrees outside, that thing was sitting in the sun all day.
locked because we weren't there.
Boiling. There we didn't have like the things that people used to cover, to give some shadow, and then we would have to be sleeping on it. It was
almost
so piping hot. We're baking inside that.
And it was 2 kilometers away. Like, it was 2 kilometers away from the restaurant, so we would have to walk about 15 meters. It's about 1.5 miles, something like that. We would have to walk 15 meters, 20 minutes during the night after work, and 20 minutes, 10, 15 minutes every day towards work in the morning. Just so you know, sometimes we closed at 3 a.m. and then we would have to walk in the middle of the night cold. Well, it's
with
not some, yeah.
with the torch from our phone.
We would have to lock the restaurant on our own, like the two of us sometimes.
And then
the last days would be like that.
Open it in the morning.
Yeah, and then open it in the morning. It had to be open at 8:15, and we should be there at 8:45. But we never did because we were just too tired. Can you imagine, like 3 a.m. you go to your caravan, but then you are smelly because you've been working for 16 hours, so you have to get naked in the middle of the night and walk with your towel towards the showers to brush your teeth and to take a shower, and then you just have to sleep for like 4 hours. By the way, we had so many nightmares. We would wake up in the middle of the night.
I think the worst part of it, like, you know, of course, being explored and doing illegal hours, that was really bad. But I think the worst bit, it was just the amount of stress we were under, because we would have to take care of the whole restaurant. And I not joking, I'm actually legitimately serious.
Yeah, we would have
to take care of it all. And we were messing around with hundreds of euros, and he had like a friend who would come in the middle of the day to take some cash out of the register
in case they got robbed.
The till, in case we would get robbed, because we had hundreds and hundreds of euros, and we have to manage it all by ourselves. And it was just, I was going to say this before as well, it was just us two, and then our friend, who was the one who told us about the job, because her father was friends with the boss. They know each other. And her brother. It was just the four of us. And then we also had, because he had 2 restaurants, so sometimes he would bring kids from the other restaurant to help us, and that's how we met some of them. And they had it a lot easier, from what I know.
In the other restaurant,
in the other restaurant, there were more people.
They would only work like 4 or 5 hours. They would start at like 8
like
or 6.
For them, it was amazing summer holidays, I believe. Like party or something. Like they would just they would close early and everything, and he would be telling us like
they would have toast times with the boss. They would make toasts. Yeah. Like actual toasts, not like having a toast, you know, like toast with butter. Yeah.
That sounds like you were envy of having a toast with the boss.
I was very envy.
No, but what I mean is that he would come and tell us, like, they are better than you. You have to do better than this. They close at 10 p.m. or something, and they clean this in an hour. And the space is bigger, but you have to remind yourself that most times we would be closing just the 2 of us, because our friend and her brother, they would have lifts from whoever, but mostly the chef.
Yeah.
Chef. Well, he's not a chef, but he would they would go with somebody, you know. They would kind of be waiting for somebody to come up front and tell them like to take them home. And
we couldn't close at 10 because they stopped serving meals at 10, but then we would have fucking customers that I wish would burn in fucking hell, that were asking for coffees at like 2 a.m. and we couldn't even clean the coffee machine, which was one of the requirements for us to go home.
Okay, settle. Breathe in, breathe
Rage!
out. Yeah, it was. You can tell it's still a fresh wound.
I was very, very upset that people were just so indifferent to what we were going through.
Yeah, you know, people would come in. They would tell us, "I see you every day. I come here because it's a camping site. So some people." The lazy ones, I guess, I suppose, or rich, they would have all their meals in the restaurant because
it was the closest restaurant to the camping site.
It's a camping site, so it's not like some people don't have enough stuff to cook with. You know, you have camping gas or something, but they would just prefer to come into the restaurant, which we would open as like a cafe in the morning, and they'd be like, "Oh, I was here at 2 a.m. and you're already here at 8 a.m. How can you do this? Like, you work so much." I'm like,
I don't have a choice.
Yes, I do. And then they would still be assholes, and they clearly knew we were there the whole time, and they just didn't care.
Yeah, sometimes they would like make fun of us or just make our lives more difficult.
Yeah, because there were people in there.
There were also good people.
Yeah, there were good people. We'll talk about them as well. But the bad people, they were especially the ones that felt really entitled, because it's a camping site, but it's not like, mostly it was not tents. It was camper vans that people had there permanently, you know.
They just pay a fee for it every year, and they came in
when it's summer, so they would spend there the summer holidays, even though they are people who are retired. So it was mostly people after, well, their 60s, so it was 60s and 70s, so people who were already kind of old.
It's like their residence.
Yes, and they would spend there the whole summer holidays.
And those were usually the nice ones. Those were...
No, they are the assholes.
Wait. Oh, but there were some old people that were nice.
No, that was literally one couple.
Well, yeah, one couple. Yeah.
One or two people.
Yeah, sorry. I was thinking specifically about those.
Like, the rest of them, they'd be like, well, you're getting paid, so what is your problem?
Why should I even tip you?
Yeah, they would be like, I shouldn't tip you. You're getting paid. Well, I mean, they don't have to tip us, but they would be like, if we were saying, oh, we're tired, we closed this at 2-3 a.m. yesterday, and we open at 8 a.m., and they're like, you're getting paid, aren't you? So what is your problem?
Yeah, exactly.
What is my problem if I want to sleep more than 4 hours a day? Like, what the hell is wrong with me? Yes. Okay, so yeah, that's the biggest issue we had.
Maybe you should go for the next topic.
And I also, yeah, because we have topics, so I don't forget anything.
It's about your vegan food.
Yeah. So I was vegan already when we worked over there, because I've been vegan for, it's going to be 6 years. So I was already vegan back then. And for some reason that I still can't point at, like, they would just be extremely upset at me for being vegan,
and they wouldn't cook for her.
Like, they would cook
for everyone, but not for Jenny.
Yeah, so I literally said that I would eat rice and chips. That's all, and they still wouldn't give me most of the time.
Yeah,
and then they would be upset because they're not gonna make food for me, and they didn't even care if I had food or not. And I understand, like, okay, you don't want to cook vegan food. I mean, I don't really understand.
That's part of them being an assholes.
Yeah,
the cooks
they would be like, why do you have to be vegan? Why can't you just eat? Why can't you just eat normal food? And they would make
fun of you many times.
Yeah, they would make fun of me all the time, and it was not funny jokes. It was like pretty much bullying.
Then you know what would happen, because Jenny was malnutritioned. So she wasn't eating what she needed in order to work properly. They were starting to call her weak and saying, oh, it's because she's vegan. Well, maybe it's because all she's eating is rice. You know, how can you, like, work 2 months, like, 14, 16 hours only eating rice?
At some point, I was just eating rice and chips for lunch.
You got sick. She got sick for a week. She couldn't move because she had extreme belly pain, and we had to take her home.
Like, into the hospital.
I had to take, yeah.
But then I started to make my own food, which was still very bad, because I would eat chickpeas
and rice
every day.
Yeah.
I would eat chickpeas and chips and rice every single day, and they still were upset at me.
Then you had to cook. Yeah.
I literally made it when the chefs weren't there, and I left everything clean. So it wasn't because of that. They were just upset at me because they're like, you're using the chickpeas. We need the chickpeas. Like, well, I'm just eating chickpeas, rice, and chips. Like, that's literally, I'm not even it's the cheapest option for you guys. Instead of eating meat, which is obviously a lot more expensive than chickpeas.
Well,
but they were still upset. They're like, you're using the chickpea cans. Now we don't have chickpea cans.
That's how companies are, aren't they? They just don't want you to eat. They want you to pay everything with your money.
They would be upset, like, in our off days, because we would work, like I said, like, from 8 until 4 a.m. sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And they would be upset that in our day offs we wouldn't have any food, because it's a camping site, and
we wouldn't
he would be the only one who could drive. I didn't have my driving license back then.
We had to cook our meals during the days off. I remember we had like a small gas
like
thing.
Yeah, camping gas.
Yeah, and we would make salads with chickpeas, and that's what we would eat.
But at some point,
and beans
we
and
only
stuff like
had one place to go for shopping that was far away.
Yeah.
And we just didn't have the time because we were working the whole day and we didn't have time to go for the grocery shopping.
It was closed when we finished.
It was always closed. Like, it would only be open for a few hours during the day. Otherwise, we would have to drive really far away. Well, he would, because I couldn't drive. So
then, yeah.
It would be like open just a few days per week. And then it would only be open a few hours, like in the morning and then in the afternoon. And then that's it. And so at some point, we didn't have any food. And they were really upset at us. Like, why don't you have any food? I'm like, well, you don't give me enough time to go buy groceries. We don't have any.
Can I check if it's still recording?
No, it's recording. It's
okay,
right.
okay. Because I haven't heard it.
No, it's okay.
Well, the next one is bullying from the boss.
Yeah, so also, I mean, people might, like, some people, I don't know. Well, I think most people will be like, well, that's an extremely bad work environment. But some people might be like, well, at least you got a job, you saved some money. But it's not really about that. What we're talking about is just like, the bar is so low in these places. They think just because you're desperate for a job, because you're young, they can manipulate you. They can, they think that
take advantage of you.
They think you're stupid, and they take advantage of you, and you know they are doing that.
Literally, what people told us, even our parents, were, well, at least your boss was nice. He paid you in the end. He didn't trick you and like, keep all the money to himself.
The bar is so low. Like, literally, we have to be happy that he paid us.
That he actually made what he was supposed to. You know, that was it. There's a funny story that I want to tell. It's very, very short, but we had like this blue box that was kind of like a lock. We had a key for it, and we would keep all of our tips in there, and then we would take them to the bank, and then we would put them so we could come to Manchester. Like every day we would count our tips. Some days, like 16 hours a day. Can you imagine? Like 14, 12 hours a day. Maybe Jenny worked 12 hours that day. I worked 10, and all we got was €1 tips, or maybe not even that. There were many days we got no tips at all.
Yeah, the people who tipped were mostly British people, and that literally
British from South Africa as well. We had a few England, from France, from Iceland. You know, not Portuguese. Well, some Portuguese did actually.
Oh yeah, we had someone from Iceland. I remember. Yeah.
Yeah, they gave us a note. They said that this is a gift from our family to you. There was also like a Portuguese lady who was old and she was on her own, and she gave us €10 as well. And there was like an old couple that was very nice. Yeah. They gave us 20. Wow.
Yeah, for us, like, that made our day.
Because they knew we wanted to come to Manchester.
One of the best days ever was when a drunk person, who I still don't know who it is, because we were closed, like, we only closed at 3 or 4 p.m. 4 a.m. Jesus. Day.
We never closed at 4 a.m. But we would go.
We would be there until 4 a.m.
Yeah.
But, well, to clean and everything else. But someone who was very drunk forgot their change.
Yeah.
And it was like €25 change.
Was it? I think I remember it being 16, but okay.
No, it was 25. And I was like, and now I kept it like for a week or so.
And no one
came back because they were all super drunk. They didn't even know where they lost their money. So that was the best day of my life.
Let's talk about the bullying.
But what we meant about the bullying is that, like I was saying, the boss, like, he knows you're young, so he thinks he can manipulate you. He only hired young people,
and he did
just so he can pay
well.
less because we are desperate. That was the whole thing, you know. Like, he wanted the young people, not because we could do a better job, because we were exhausted. We didn't even know what we were doing. We were probably losing money because we just had no idea. We had no managers. It was just 16-year-olds. Just taking care of a whole restaurant by ourselves. We didn't have
he was
anybody.
The manager. He would have cameras, watch on us, sometimes call us.
Yeah, he'll be watching on us, but it's not to help us.
Yeah.
Like, if we would call, like, he wouldn't help us.
Yeah.
You know, it was
Yeah,
just,
I remember, yeah.
it was just to control us. He literally didn't let me have my septum piercing showing, and he would call us just to tell me, like, he saw in the cameras that I had my septum piercing out.
That's part of the bullying.
And he said, and you know, this is where it doesn't make sense. He said that it would affect because I'm dealing with food. Am I sticking my nose at people's food? Like, doesn't make any sense. And there was a girl.
Let me smell your coffee.
And the older girl who worked there, woman, she had really long acrylic nails, and I was like, well, she is actually dealing with food in her hands. How is that allowed? She has huge acrylic nails, and that's not very hygienic. Hygienic? I think that's how you say it.
I think it's hygienic, yeah.
Yeah, and I couldn't have a septum piercing because of I was touching food. If you don't even touch food with your nose, it doesn't get, what does it affect, you know? He was just attacking me because he didn't like piercing, so he wouldn't let me have mine. Which, okay, it's policy, but the thing is, the double standards, you know, if it was like that, like, no piercings, tattoos, or acrylic nails allowed, like, that made sense. Okay, yeah, there's a policy, I don't agree with it, but that's fine. But the thing is, there were clearly double standards in that place, where you could have huge acrylic nails. He said, well, I can't ask her to take the nails off. Yes, you can.
Yeah.
You can take them off. That's the whole point. And I told him, like, you know, they're not permanent. You can just take them off. They have glue. You just take the glue off and they come out. And he was like, well, I'm not asking her to take the nails out, but you have to take your piercing out.
You suffered the most bullying in that restaurant. I remember.
He would bully. He'll be telling me, like, the only reason I was still there, it was because of him.
That's what I was going to say. She would say that constantly.
The time.
Like, the only reason you are still here, it's because of me, Flashlight.
Everybody knows.
And that's really, really bad. Like, and it wasn't the only thing he did to you. They would call you. They wouldn't call you by your name. They would call you by some other name. Like,
yeah, they would call me like a nickname that I won't even be saying, just because I had blue hair. But it wasn't even my full hair. It was just like the tips of my hair, and they'll be like, well, you're
I don't know.
Like,
yeah, that's it. Vanda Stewart. Yeah.
Yeah, just
they
because,
were calling her Vanda
just
Stewart.
Just because it was like a Portuguese celebrity, celebrity, quote unquote.
But that wasn't the worst of the bullying. That was kind of alright. You know, it was like sometimes you thought, oh, they're just like trying to get along with me.
But it's not. They were not, and they like I would tell them like, can you just say my name? Like, I'd rather if you just call me my name.
They would
be like, you're Vanda Stewart. No, I'm not. I have my name, and I'm kind of getting sick of the joke. And they would have, you know, everything, like, everyone would do something that was, wrong, because we were overworked. We were working like 4 people when probably could work like 10 in that.
As we were saying, Jenny is suffering a lot of bullying. Another thing that they did was they put her doing the dishes in the kitchen, but like for many, many days. And they told her, don't worry, Jenny, it will rotate. Everybody will do that. But then they didn't. It was just Jenny. And then,
he was trying to punish
And then
me.
he told me, oh, that's all she's good for. That's like very like bullying. And what else? Oh, you got like
I have dermatitis because of that job.
Yeah, she got dermatitis because of it.
That still comes up because it doesn't go away. Like, I still have issues. Like, for example, on this finger, I still have dermatitis right now, and it came from that job, because I would be washing the dishes every single day, like for the cafe and then for the restaurant. So I would literally be spending 12 hours a day just washing the dishes.
Many times we thought about quitting, and he used that as bullying as well. He was like telling me, oh, first of all, he was comparing Jenny to his ex-wife, and then he was saying like, oh, she's just like my ex-wife. She left me. She doesn't want this as hard as you do. And he was like making this manipulation with me as well. And he was saying that she wasn't working hard enough. Like,
that I didn't care for our dream enough, that I would abandon him.
That if I said someday that I wanted to quit, she would pack the bags and go. you know?
Like, yeah, I would not be there by myself. Like, I could barely handle it.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. But he was saying like, oh, if you wanted to quit, she would quit because she doesn't want to be here. Like, of course we don't. It was awful. And sometimes I ask myself, was it really necessary? We kind of grew, but we also grew dermatitis and trauma. So,
yeah. And the thing is, even our friend, which she is a very close friend of mine,
yeah.
and we still had issues working there because the things were just not, they were not okay.
You two were very, very close. Yeah.
The things going on in there, they were not okay. The fact that we were being explored, we were spending so many hours over there, we had to take so much responsibility.
We ended up shouting with our friends.
Yeah, and we would cry. I would cry every single day in that job. I would go into the toilet and cry.
Like, I cried for the first time in so many years in that job.
Also, like, at least with me, I noticed, like, one day I'm not joking, I was literally going to shit my pants, like, because we spending like there 12 hours a day. I have to go into the toilet. So I had to go into the toilet, but there was a guy working there that was from the other restaurant. He wasn't allowed to touch the till because he supposedly stole chewing gum.
He gave chewing gum for free. That's what.
Yeah, he gave chewing gum for free. So he wasn't allowed to touch the till. And I was just there by myself with him. And I said to him, like, well, stall people, or I don't know, because I have to go into the toilet. I'm going to shit myself if I don't stay here. And you know what did the boss say? You left him, you're not allowed to leave him. I told him he can't touch the till. I was like, well, I was going to shit myself. And he was like, you should wait until there was no one. And it was always busy. Sometimes it was just one person. I was lucky he was there, but he wasn't allowed to touch the till. So I told him, like, just stall people, and then people get angry just if you take 1 minute more than you should.
People would, we had to open it at 8:15. At 8:15, sometimes we were still laying out the cakes. Like, because we would sell cakes besides coffee. Just imagine
Sometimes
Costa.
They would knock the door before.
They would be knocking on the door, on the windows.
At
mad.
8 a.m.
Yeah, even before, like, the time it was supposed to be open.
Oh, we want to have breakfast. Well, it's not opening time yet. So
yeah, and if it's like past 1 minute, they would be like knocking, and they would be like, "Why isn't this open yet?"
Like, we're literally,
as we are opening like the windows.
We were allowed to have breakfast. Like, thank God, at least we had something. So we were allowed to eat the bread. So have breakfast.
But we would have to eat in less than, whatever time we had, because we would never get there. And
sometimes we were eating, and it was not opening time yet, and people saw us inside because it was all windows around, and they're like, knocking. I know you're inside, so why don't you open? Well, I'm having my breakfast. I literally sit here for 2 minutes, and I can't even have a rest, Yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah, it's true.
It was just so bad in so many levels. I
also had to work for Walls during my breaks, so I stopped having breaks.
Ice cream company.
Yeah, the ice cream company. I would have to ride a bicycle, and people would mock me.
12 hours.
Yeah, and people would mock me and humiliate me, and they were like, "You are not saying it out loud." So I had I think I got pretty humble since then.
The best.
I had to swallow my pride and be shouting something like, free ice cream, who wants the chocolate vanilla ice cream?
Yeah, that was
so very humiliating. And I had no breaks. I had 30-minute breaks then. That's it. In a day. 30-minute breaks.
And it was really rough because the thing is,
and I didn't get more money for that. I got the same as if I was... He said, oh, I will pay you for what you are doing. But he would get money from Walls. Something like that.
He would get money from Walls. So
but he would tell me he wouldn't.
And of course he was.
He said, like, oh no, this is actually being something we're spending money on rather than earning money from. So I'm making you a favor by still paying you for this. And,
Yeah. And then he... what I was going to say.
Well, would we do it all over again?
No. Absolutely not.
Like, if you could go back in time, you wouldn't?
Well,
if I had to
do it again.
Oh,
Like,
no,
physically
no,
do
no.
it again. No, but I wouldn't change the past.
Yeah, I wouldn't change the past as
But
well.
I wouldn't do it again. Because, well, once again, like, me and Ricardo, we were having a really hard time.
Flashy. It's okay.
Everybody knows your name. we had a really hard time, even though we were not mad at each other, but it was so stressful. We literally had nightmares, like we said before. We had like, not just normal nightmares. I never had those nightmares since then, thank God. But it was very real, it felt sleep paralysis or something like that.
Yeah.
We literally had that the whole summer from how stressful we were. We were literally screaming and talking while we were sleeping, and we would wake each other up.
Yeah. I remember waking up. Waking up, and you were acting like that, and I was like, what the fuck is going on? Calm down, Jenny, everything is okay. And you would do the same, and then you would tell me the next morning, you had this episode, and I'm like, I did? I don't remember.
Yeah, we were talking and screaming, and it was just awful.
I remember.
And we were so tired during the day, and we would, in our break, we would try to have a nap inside the van, but like I said, it was 40 degrees outside, and there was no shadow.
We couldn't sleep.
So it was so hot in there. We couldn't sleep during the day.
Yeah. I remember having those kind of dreams, like the bell, because the customers had like a bell. No, we had a bell to call the customers because they had tickets. There were so many. The ticket counter would go up to 99, and then you would go back to 0, and they would have tickets. So,
because there were so many people, we had to give.
Sometimes we had 99 people waiting or more. Yeah, I remember having that. I remember having dreams of customers being outside our caravan. We call it a caravan, but it's not a caravan.
It's a camper van.
Camper van, yeah, and they would be like knocking on our door and asking us to serve them.
Because that's the way people act, and I thought I was not too stressed because I would like, okay, it's not so bad, but then, like, for me at least, I can never tell when I'm actually really stressed because I just kind of keep it to myself, and I couldn't tell until I started having these really realistic nightmares where I couldn't even do anything. I was just screaming and I was shouting, and I felt like I was trapped inside that nightmare, and that was awful. And I would burst out crying with my friend in the bread room, because we had a room where we had to prepare the bread.
You two would cry.
Like, we would cry together. We were like, I'm sorry I screamed at you, but it's just really awful, okay? And she was like, I know, it's really awful. And at some point, after I was sick, I couldn't handle it anymore, and they had to reduce my hours. And they were saying, like, stuff in my bag.
Again, bullying Jenny again.
Yeah, they were bullying me, saying
as if
that
it was
I was
her fault
weak,
that she
saying
got
like,
sick.
oh, she comes in late because she can't handle it. No, I'm sorry, I can't handle working 12 hours, 14 hours a day sometimes, while eating rice and chips. Thank you. Oh my God.
And sleep deprivation.
Yeah, like, I was sleeping. I had these nightmares.
Being bullied constantly.
I was sleeping maximum 4 hours per day.
Not having a time to take a dump.
Yeah, I couldn't go to the toilet doing work. I worked there 12 hours and I couldn't go to the toilet. And they were like, yeah, she's just weak. She can't handle it. Like, I literally had to beg them to let me work less hours. And they were like, you can't handle it. Is that it? And I was like, no, I can't. I was sick literally a week ago. Yeah. And you don't let me eat enough food. I can only eat chickpeas in the best days, and sometimes rice and chips. And I don't even get a salad. And no, I cannot handle working 14 hours a day. I was literally having to go piggyback on Ricardo's back to the camper van because I couldn't handle walking.
Which
my
was
feet
almost 2.
were in the worst pain I've ever felt in my life from standing for so long every single day. And he would have to carry me. Yeah,
I would have to carry you, then we would stop, then we would carry you again. It was 2 kilometers away. But then, like, after a month, we discovered that he didn't pay for the camper van. That was another thing. So he didn't pay for that camper van. So we would have to move. We had no choice. Someone had already hired it. Like some tourist.
Rented it.
Yeah. So besides not having any time
We
and
had
being
to
working
move for a,
full-time,
to a smaller camper
we would
van.
have to move our stuff. And I remember I think it took me like
like a week or two.
yeah, and I even had my mom's help at some point. She came with her car and we drove because driven the car with the stuff because it was in a different part of the park, so it.
And it was a smaller space. It was falling apart. It was like even worse quality than the first one. And then someone who would work there sometimes, he got fired because he was he would say that he would work more hours than he did, and he was having enough. Like I was having enough. He would spend there 4 hours, and he was having enough. So let that sink in.
And then we had to move to another van. Well, because we decided
and then we moved to
it was
van.
closer and it was better. The first van we had, no, the second van we had to move into. So the one we were forced to, it was the worst. Yeah.
And then we were able to move to the last
a little
one.
better one.
But I didn't like the people because it was in the area where the old people that would spend there the whole summer, they would be living in that area, which was the best area. But they would be really rude. And
we even had people our age bullying us. Like we were going late at night to our camper van, and they would like start like making fun of us or something. I remember.
Yeah.
But I didn't even care at that time because I was just so tired. I was like, what do these people know? They're fucking spoiled.
Yeah, so it was really bad. But at least, well, my friend, she had lots more fun. She made friends. I just didn't connect with the people that would be there. So I would spend my breaks alone in the beach. Sometimes I would go with someone
from work,
like if we had breaks together, and that was it.
Same.
And that was it.
Wait, there's another thing. We also got I also got threatened by drunk people, and I was alone there with Jenny. And if I was like, imagine me getting threatened by like busted guys, like they were 30s or something, and they looked like freaking out of their heads. They were drunk and they looked like they did drugs. And imagine me wanting to flee, and there's only me and Jenny there. So if I wanted to flee, I imagine like, Jenny will be in such a good place.
That was kind of in the end of the summer job, and I was already breaking at the seams. Yeah, I was like burning the candle.
Jenny didn't even notice that I was getting threatened, and I'm glad she was away.
At that point, I was literally falling asleep in the bedroom.
Yeah, because it was like 2 a.m. or something.
I couldn't handle it anymore. We still had to be open because we would call and be like, we only have 4 people. Can we just close? No, you can't close.
Yeah.
Like we had no established time to close. It was like we had to call him, ask him if we could close. And then he'll be like, no, if there's still 4 people, just leave it open.
Yeah, and he wanted money.
And they wouldn't order something for 20 minutes because it was just 4 people. So they were taking their time drinking their stuff. Yep. So we would sit there doing absolutely nothing because we couldn't clean until everyone was gone.
If we tried to close, the customers would complain, why are you closing? It's like 2.5.
Because you close
in the morning.
Yeah, you start to close late and later. Then people are expecting you to stay open as if you're a bar or something like that until 6 a.m. or something. And I was literally falling asleep because they weren't ordering anything. So I was sleeping, sitting down in the floor. And I'm not joking. Like Ricardo, he would go up and like, are you sleeping? I was like, I didn't even know I was sleeping because I was so sleep deprived.
You would collapse.
I would literally sit down because I was like, I can't stand on my feet anymore. It's hurting me too much. So I would just sit down in the floor and I would fall asleep. For how long? I don't know. But I would just fall asleep. I didn't even know I was falling asleep. I just fell asleep.
There was something I just remembered and I just forgot. And it's got something to do with these people, like the drunk people. I was saying that. The drunk people.
They were threatening you.
Yeah, but there was something else that I forgot that was kind of like important. Well, anyway, these drunk people, they also, then when we finished like the summer job, they bought or rented a cafe near our school. And I felt like they were like chasing after us. I know I was being paranoid. But at some point, I would move to the other side of the street as not to be on the same sidewalk as the one facing their cafe shop. And they would stand outside the shop staring at me as if my eyes had disrespected them or something.
Oh, at some point we also had like a crazy woman working with us,
Yeah.
and she was like
She
paranoid.
did a lot of drugs.
She was completely paranoid, and we're like, yo, this is already crazy. Like, you just being too crazy.
Luckily, they got rid of her.
And they got rid of her because we were like, she literally screamed like in front of us, in front of the customers. I mean, she screamed at us. So he was like, yeah, we have to get rid of her. That was like the only, we've been telling him like, she's crazy and she does not help. She literally making it worse. We rather just be by ourselves than having her because she does not help.
The problem with the coworkers is that there was another person who went there that had worked there before, and he liked her a lot. But the thing is, once she was there, she made everyone's life a living hell, as if she was superior to us because she had worked there before. And you know, it's just he got rid of her again, or she didn't want to come back. Do you remember?
No.
Was,
I know.
Yeah.
I know. I wouldn't be working with her most of the time. I don't know why.
Yeah, well, she did make my life a living hell.
Yeah. Pretty much, it was hell on earth. And the next year, my friend, you know, she also worked there, but he even lowered the pay rate.
Yeah, pay rate, yeah. So he was paying about what?
Because there were less tourists coming in, so they even lowered the rate. Even though, like, that's not how it works. Every year it should go up, not go down.
Yeah.
But that was it. So thank you so much for watching or listening
to our traumas.
Don't forget to subscribe if you want to hear about anything else, all of my traumas. Just tell me in the comments. We could spend here so much time because it was 2 months, but it felt like a lifetime.
We have a lot of stories.
Sometimes I don't even believe I went through that. You know, the brain just shuts down, forgets about all of those memories because I could not leave thinking about them.
I remember the important thing. At some point, I'm sorry, I know you were about to finish, but this will be fast. At some point, he was trying to see until where he could stretch how much he could manipulate us. So he was trying to get us to drive our friends home after we closed. You know, our co-workers. So let's say it's like 2 a.m. and we are closing. Oh, guess what? Just drive about an hour until your co-worker's house, then come back another half an hour. So we would have less an hour sleep, and we would waste gas. We would spend gas, and that's our petrol. That's our money.
Yeah. So he was trying to make us drive him because he didn't want to bother with that problem, even though we were already opening the restaurant, closing the restaurant, having 4 hours sleep, and he was trying to make it 3 hours sleep. And he was like, but why can't you do it?
Oh yeah.
Like, and he would just be at home. He would live really nearby, and he was like, why can't you do it? We were already working 12 hours a day, and he was like, why can't you do it? Why can't you just do it? Like, besides the fact that we would be sleeping less time, obviously Ricardo didn't want to have the responsibility because he was not, he only got just driving license.
Right, so, like 1 day before we started working. That's when I got my driver's license.
License, yeah.
Yeah, my driving license.
So he didn't want to take the responsibility of driving at night, which is a lot more dangerous.
Tired, which is worse than being drunk.
He was, after working 12 hours, having to drive in pitch dark.
I remember the only time...
A bunch of teenagers.
The only time we did that...
Like, if we got into an accident, guess whose fault would it be? He didn't even have insurance.
the only time we did that, which was once, and then we told him no, we drove on the wrong lane.
You did.
Yeah, I drove on the wrong lane. I mean, I entered like a very dangerous crossroad, yeah, in the wrong lane.
Yeah. Because, like, he literally had the driving license for a month. and
I was tired. Like, I couldn't even think, you know. I just
tired, stressed, depressed, and too many ets, you know? So
I think I've said everything. Thank you, Jane.
You think so? Okay. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you in the next Honest Talks. If you have any subjects you would like to hear us about, just leave them in the comments. If you don't have any ideas, don't worry. We'll figure out some trauma to talk about.
We have the hotel. We have the hotel. It was the job after. Manchester.
The first job we ever got in UK. Maybe that could be the next one. Just a list of our traumas.
Just sparkling some ideas up to you.
So thank you so much for watching.
Thank you,
we'll
guys.
see you in the next one.
Bye.